right, the project at hand right now is I just want to do a little bit of maintenance to my driveway. So there's a few spots that have been kind of getting some potholes. It's not that bad, but I just like to fix it up. For example, here's a spot right here. I mean, this isn't even bad, but you know, there's a few spots that are just kind of wet and muddy. So that could use a little bit of shale. This is all good right here. You smell something good? Levi, we're going this way. All right, then, like, here's like another spot here. There's a few holes. I mean, they're not bad, but. And right here, well, you know, we could walk the whole thing, but there's a few spots like that. So let's get the dump truck and put some shale in it and bring it to these spots. Battery's dead. Someone just sent me this little jumper pack. Let's see if it'll start this thing. So close. That was it, almost. The electrical system on this thing is messed up. Whenever starting something like this, make sure it's in neutral and don't stand in front of the wheel. Always stand here, because if it's in gear, the thing will just drive. right, well, that turned out pretty good. So I filled in all the potholes on this thing. There was only a few sections. I mean, overall, this has held up pretty well. Since we're talking about this driveway, let's go back and look at old photos of it. So this was in 2011. This was the day I closed on this property. So there was a trail here, but it was pretty narrow, and I had just been going in and out with my Jeep, just pushing over little trees and pushing logs and stuff out of the way to get a path in there, but it was narrow. Then once the snow melted, I could see that it was just kind of a dirt path, and once I started driving on it, it kind of started getting muddy. Here's a photo right in that spot here, so you could see how once the snow started melting, how easy it was to get stuck. Like the trailer sunk in a little rut, and then the truck was just kind of on ice. So if I didn't go through this driveway really fast, it was very easy to get stuck. But this is, you can see, and you can see how narrow it was too. Like it was, some of these spots here, it was like right on the edge of a cliff, squeezing around trees, and then you're getting stuck at the same time. So here's towing in a camper before I surfaced the road, so you could see what it was like getting in. I remember towing anything in, like you really had to step on it in four-wheel drive, you know, spinning tires the whole way. You know, it was real easy to go too slow and get stuck. So here it is, probably later in the year. The path was, you know, well laid out, but it was still muddy. But this was, you know, here was the getting the clearing done for the grass, and this is before I surfaced anything. Then here I am surfacing it, so I had all the sides cleaned up, and this was just putting that rock down, load touching load. I put like 100 loads on this driveway and spread them out so the whole thing would be at least a foot thick. Then there it is after. Then here it is too, you know, looking good. You can see it's still pretty, the rocks are still pretty big, but you know, they end up breaking up smaller. This was right when I got my Ford dump truck. Alright, what's the date on this photo? It's 2012, so 7 years ago I got that truck. So these rocks I put down, you know, they start out pretty big, which is good, but they do end up breaking up. Like you can see here, this was a big rock that's breaking into pieces, and the more you drive on it, the more that will break up. And then the other thing that helps is kind of to put the tires in different spots every time. Like everyone always wants to run like here and here, but sometimes like alternate, like have it here, 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 just to kind of pack down the entire thing. And this stone does break up. When I did this entire driveway, I used that stone, and this is how it is after driving on it for a while, well, years, but it breaks up to this nice, you know, rock hard surface. All right, well, that's all done. Let's go work on another project.